Hello everybody, and welcome to Let's Look at Sequence. This is a game that just came out on Steam and Xbox Live Indie Games, I believe, last week. Currently going for $5 from Iridium Studios. This is a rhythm RPG, which sounds like a pretty strange mix of genres. So the best way to actually describe what it is to show you. Basically, this is Dance Dance Revolution meets, I don't want to say Final Fantasy, but that would be the marketing buzzwords. So we're in the main mode here, and I'm going to show you what it's like to actually fight an enemy. So you can see that there's three screens that we can see right now, or three rectangles. The green rectangle is our spell track, so that's where we're going to cast spells that do damage to the enemy. The blue one is our mana track, and we need mana to get spells, or to do spells. And then the red one is the track of the enemy firing notes at us. So when we hit notes on the red track, we don't take damage. When we miss notes on the red track, we take damage. When we hit notes on the mana track, we get mana back. And when we cast spells, you can see I have a few spells that are just being cast right now. There, I just did one right there. That was Arc Light. They cost mana, and when you hit all the notes, they also do damage to the enemy. Now, this all might seem a little bit confusing, but it essentially boils down to this. If the enemy's firing notes at you, hit those notes as best as you can. When you're casting spells, make sure to hit all those notes to do damage to the enemy. That's about as simply as I can put it, especially playing the game. Pretty much, this is just Dance Dance Revolution with a little bit of extra gameplay, or a little bit of an extra twist thrown in, and I actually really like that. I'm a huge fan of Dance Dance Revolution clones. I've never been much for the actual machines, mostly just played it at the movie theater now when I was waiting to see Triple X with Vin Diesel back when I was a little bit younger. But I really like games like this. I'm a huge fan of rhythm games, and actually, maybe Dance Dance Revolution isn't the best game to compare this to. Maybe the best game to compare this to is something like Frequency or Amplitude from Harmonix before they did the Guitar Hero series back on the PlayStation 2, I believe. So basically, you're just going to be hitting notes, switching between tracks as necessary in order to, defer damage or do damage to the enemy yourself. Now that thing you see on the bottom there, you can see on the bottom left in green is my HP, on the bottom right, now reading 0, is the enemy's HP, and the middle there is kind of my spell wheel. I'll get a chance to explain a little bit more of that later. So having defeated enemy, we've got a bunch of experience here, and we might pick up some items as well. You can see your accuracy, the time elapsed and whatnot. So I unlocked a newspaper for this fight, and then we'll go show what those items do. So if we can go over to... Our goal, actually, is to get to the next floor, to go to floor 3, but we're going to go to gear right now. So in order to get to floor 3, we have to create items. I think they call it syncing items, or synthing items, that's it. So I've got to synth key the second to get to the 3rd floor, but I don't have every ingredient for that right now. But I do have every ingredient for chainmail. This is basically the game's version of crafting. So you can see that it'll give me plus 8 mana and plus 2 defense, but minus 3 HP. So are we going to try? Yeah, let's do a little bit. Let's try to synth it here. You can see that you pay experience in order to synth things, and you can increase your chances of the synth working, but it'll cost you more experience. Yes, sometimes synth will fail and cost you experience. Let's try it for 66% here. And fuck, it actually completely failed me. So that 172 experience, totally gone, and I don't get the item back. So here I've got a goblet, and the goblet will cause us to, I believe, have 10% less spell cost, which is pretty useful. Now, what shall we do now? You know what, let's just go back to a battle, so I can show off a little bit more. This time we're going to fight forceps, and I'm trying to get a calendar because, I forget what I'm trying to get, actually, but I need something in order to get that key. Now, the music, obviously, is the most important part of the rhythm game, or any rhythm game, I should say. Now, this game has fantastic music. It's primarily from a guy by the name of Ronald Jenkins, who's kind of like a YouTube pseudo-superstar. I'm sure some of you guys out there have probably heard of him or seen his videos. He's got a unique personality, or persona at the very least. And all these songs tend to be pretty frenetic, like pretty upbeat, and also like work really well with the type of gameplay that we've got going on here with all these arrows coming down. I'm playing it on the normal difficulty, and I'm finding it to be pretty much perfect for me. You know, I was never big into like Flash Revolution or any of the computer-based Dance Dance Revolution games, so my fingers, they're a little bit slow compared to some of you maybe. Especially ladies, right? That was terrible. I apologize for that. But anyway, yeah, so there are more difficulties. There's easy, which is even easier than this. There's hard, which is obviously even harder than this. And then there's, I forget what the last difficulty is called, but it's like easy is for people who have severe musical difficulties. Normal is for people who are, musically normal. Hard is for people who have no musical difficulties. And then the hardest mode is for people who have social difficulties. That's in the game's description, not in my description. I'm sure you guys are perfectly fine. But I find normal works out pretty well for me. just because I'm switching so often from track to track. Plus, I'm still pretty much new with respect to the game. Only have a couple of hours in. But really, if you're a fan of like Dance Dance Revolution games like this, and I'm going to stop calling them DDR games, I suppose. I'll start calling them rhythm games. If you're a fan of rhythm games like this, I think this is definitely worth a pickup for only $5 on Steam. It's probably even less on Xbox Live Indie Arcade, but I can't vouch for that. It is not Xbox Live Arcade, the Xbox Live Indie Games platform, of course. Games tend to be a little bit cheaper there. So yeah, absolutely. For $5, this seems like a pretty good deal. And it seems like, based on what I've been doing so far and the progress that I've made, there's probably around, maybe 3 or 4 hours of gameplay, which seems a little bit low, but remember the cost that you're getting here. And not much except for the campaign. But that's okay. So it looks like our man here, Forceps, is very nearly dead. We're just avoiding some damage there. We got to replenish our mana a little bit before we can do another spell. And you can see the spells that I'm doing. Hopefully let's get a chance to talk about those. So I just cast a spell that should be coming down the green track any second. Hit those 2 notes, and damage is done to the enemy, but he still has 1 HP left. So you can see my current spell selected is called Arc Light. I cast that, and with that, he will be defeated. If you miss any of those notes in the spell, it still costs you the mana, but you don't get any of the effects. So you gotta really be on with those spells. You gotta cast them when you know you got a chance. So I got a brick and a black rock, and hey, achievement unlocked. I'm not sure what that is for, but that's cool. I also got more accuracy on this fight than I did in the last one. Let's go back to our gear here. I really want to smelt that chainmail. Let's see if I can get something good out of it. I can make the trigger scroll. Let's make the chainmail. I'll give it one more shot. 50%. It'll cost me enough experience to take me down a level. Ah, but it actually succeeded this time. Excellent. So I can take off Percival's pantaloons. That sounded like really gay in a Victorian kind of way. And I will equip this armor. And the cool thing is I can sell Percival's pantaloons, or aka desync Percival's pantaloons. And when I do that, I'll get experience out of it. So that should be enough to push me back over level 5. And yes, it will be. So when you sell things, you're not selling things for money or buying things for money. You're essentially buying things for experience. Now we still need one more item in order to get to that last, or to get to the key. We got another Ronald Jenkins song here. There's another guy that did music for this as well, but I've unfortunately forgotten his name. And if he's watching this, I apologize. Your compositions are beautiful as well. So this is the hardest enemy on floor 2, and there's 7 floors. And obviously, this is only the second one. The first one is kind of a tutorial phase. There's a pretty lengthy tutorial to get into this game. So if you feel like I'm not explaining it very well, the tutorial explains it pretty well. Now, you can see there was this thing on the screen that said Guardian Effect. Basically, every floor has a different kind of adverse effect that can be applied to you, I think only once per fight. So on this one, it causes notes to kind of disappear or get more transparent as they get close to the bottom. So you've got to remember what they're doing. Can be kind of annoying. And I have to admit, I have not defeated this guy before our fight here. So let's see how this goes. I've got to replenish some mana, and then I'm going to try to, like, smash him with spells here. I've got Spheric equipped. Spheric is just a quick damage spell. It only takes 2 notes, as you saw right there, and it does a fair amount of damage. It recharges pretty quickly as well. I'm just going to keep switching here. My brain is about to explode from focusing on too many things at once. We got Spirit going again. Excellent. Do I have enough mana? I don't have enough mana. We'll recharge that. It's cool to have a lot of mana, because then you can really hit him with spells over and over. Let's go on the defense here for a little while. I've also got a couple of other spells that I don't think I use in this video. One of them is Barrier, which causes my defense to increase, and that works out really well. It's really cheap. And the other one is a healing spell that has like 30 notes in it, so I haven't found a good opportunity to use that yet. So we just cast Arc Light, which is a little bit of a longer spell, but it does more damage, I believe. So if we hit these notes, it might kill him. Absolutely it did. So now, with Violent Dwarf dead, I think he'll give us the last item that we need, and I can finally remember its name. Yes, he gave us the Polish Remover. Excellent. And the Flail as well, and the Flail might be a good offensive upgrade. Let's go to our gear and go to Key the Second. Oh, but I don't have a calendar anymore. I used the calendar to make my chainmail. That was retarded. Well, at least I know I can get a calendar back pretty quickly by fighting that first enemy. What I will do, though, is equip the Flail, because it's going to give me +1 offense. And I'll desync this magic staff to give me a little bit more experience. Then I guess we'll go fight and try to get a calendar off of Audrey the Second here again. We got Stay Crunchy. This is probably my favorite song that we've had so far. So my general strategy for starting a fight is just to throw spell after spell. Just because you start off with full mana, so you can really get a lot of them out of the way. The problem is, I take a lot of damage as a result of this, but I feel like I can do damage to the enemy a lot faster than the enemy can do damage to me, at least on these early levels. So there's that Guardian effect. I assume that silhouette is of the boss that I haven't gotten to yet. And you just cast Spheric again. I couldn't see the notes, but I still managed to get it off. You can see on the mana track here, things are getting a little bit funky. Starting to have to do some more rhythmic presses as opposed to just one or two like on the beat. Missed some stupid notes there, but that's okay. I missed a really stupid note there and lost my Arclight spell. Hopefully you guys can follow everything that's going along. In terms of controls, I'm playing this right now with the Xbox controller, and I find that works fantastically well, because for notes that you have to hit 2 notes at once, you can use one on the D-pad and one on the face buttons, X, A, B, Y, or you can do 2 on the face buttons if you've got like pro simian fingers or something. I think one more attack, and this, yeah, Audrey the second will be finished. I think you can also control it with a keyboard, which might be easier, or it might be harder. Who knows? In any case, I don't think controls are going to be a problem for a rhythm game like this. Unfortunately, I did not get a calendar off of Audrey the second there, so I guess we're just going to call it quits. I don't want to show any more useless battles. We'll exit to the main menu and show you what we've got going on here. Continue new game, bonus, settings. Let's check out bonus. I don't know what that is yet. So it looks like it's kind of like a DJ mode, so you can listen to the music that's going on here. And you can switch through the music like that. You can see there's about 12 tracks. And it looks like you can also switch through the backgrounds as well. Maybe something you can put on at parties, you know, have your own 11-song jukebox here. Alright, so we're going to get out of that. And I think that's pretty much it for Sequence. Like I said, available now on Steam and Xbox Live indie games. If you're a fan of the DDR clone genre, or rhythm games in general, for $5, I don't think you can go wrong here. Definitely adequate value. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.